Oral questions, question orale. L'honorable député de Louis.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent.
Monsieur le Président.
Mr. Speaker, after having spent lavishly, the government's going to table its economic update this afternoon. And what Canadians want is a real economic stimulus plan for the Canadian economy. Mr. Speaker, we can't talk about economic recovery without we know what to expect for vaccines. What is the government's vaccination plan?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Well, Mr. Speaker, thank you so much for the great question. And I have to say, Canada has one of the best portfolios in the world. In fact, we have options on 7 highly promising vaccines, more doses per capita than any other country, 3 in regulatory approval. In fact, actually, I should say 4, Mr. Speaker, because, of course, Janssen just applied today. Mr. Speaker, even the CEO of Moderna has said that Canada placed its orders early and is in a really good position.
L'honorable député de Louis Saint-Laurent.
The Honourable Member. Well, the problem with the Minister's numbers is that these are numbers on paper. We don't have any vaccinations. Why? Because what the government did was associate itself with the Chinese company. And, like we say back home, it went belly up. And it was only later that they had decided to try to contact other companies. The economy is suffering. Canadians are losing their jobs. The Canadian economy is fragile. We need an economic plan. We need an immunization plan. Are we going to see that later today?
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to highlight the fact that we have a plan. That plan is to pursue international vaccine candidates. We've done that very clearly from day one. We've also invested in Made in Canada solutions as well. Activism from Vancouver, Vital Intervac from Saskatoon, Variation Biotechnologies from Ottawa, Medicago from Quebec City.
Just un moment, s'il vous plaît. One moment, please. Un appel au règlement.
A point of order. The Honourable Member for Manicouagan. Mr. Speaker, the interpreter has said that because of sound quality, it's impossible to interpret.
Sound quality is not working out well. I want to remind the honourable members to wear their headsets that were provided by the House. The microphone on that headset really works well. The interpreters are struggling at the best of times with long distance, and if we make it as easy, as clear as possible, it makes their job easy, and it allows us to hear what's being said, whether it's in French or in English. Merci beaucoup. The Honourable Minister, I'll let you start from the beginning so that we can hear everything you had to say.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We have been absolutely clear that we have a plan to support Canadians. It's our Made in Canada initiative to support Made in Canada solutions. That is why we're proud to have invested in Activism from Vancouver, Vital Intervac from Saskatoon, Variation Biotechnologies from Ottawa, Medicago from Quebec City, and National Research Council Royal Mount Facility in Montreal, and Immunovaccine Technologies in Dartmouth. These are the examples of the Made in Canada solutions that are part of our plan to support Canadians to make sure that they have access to safe and secure vaccines.
L'honorable député de Louis.
The Honourable Member for Louis Saint-Laurent. Mr. Speaker, be it in French or English, is not very stimulating for Canadians because they know what the Liberals' plans are. Last Friday, once again, the Prime Minister made us ashamed of him because he said that by September, well, Canadians would be vaccinated, but what we know is that the British and Americans are going to be vaccinated before Christmas. Europeans will have a vaccine soon, whereas Canadians are going to have to wait. What is the budget plan for immunization for Canadians?
Mr. Speaker, as I've said before and numerous times, Canadians are well situated to get vaccines. In fact, on the weekend, I spoke with my counterpart, the Minister of Health from the UK, Mr. Matt Hancock, to talk about the UK and Canada working closely together on regulatory approval for the number of vaccines, and many of which we share in our portfolios. Mr. Speaker, Canada is well served by the diversity of vaccines that we have purchased early and, in fact, in great quantity. And Canadians can be assured that they, too, will have access to these vaccines that will bring us to the end of COVID-19.
Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, Canadians deserve certainty, clarity and competence from their government, all of which have been sorely lacking both before and during the COVID pandemic. Conservatives supported, with corrective advice, the range of emergency COVID programs, but those massive funding programs account for barely half the federal deficit. Now, today we expect yet another rhetorical exercise in the reimagining of the Canadian economy. But where, Mr. Speaker, is the plan for economic recovery?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to share with the honourable member that his calculation is mistaken. He seems not to realize that the significant closures associated for public health reasons with the COVID-19 pandemic have also contributed to the deficit. The reality is, going forward, we know that we had a choice to have the federal government incur the costs associated with the pandemic, or to have those costs fall to households and businesses. We made the decision to step up to be there for households and businesses to ensure they can contribute to the recovery once the pandemic is over. If the honourable member has suggestions on how we can move forward to ensure a robust recovery, my office is always open.
Honourable member for Thornhill.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the economic update will surely reveal just how large the deficit has become, how deep the hole out of which the country must eventually climb. The lack of a plan for acquisition and distribution of vaccines threatens to have a delaying domino impact across economic recovery. But the lack of a larger plan for fiscal recovery, 2 years down the road, 3 years and more, is equally unconscionable. Mr. Speaker, when will Canadians get a comprehensive plan?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, while the Conservatives seem to be defending an outdated economic ideology, we are defending the households and businesses who have reached out to us during the course of this pandemic. If we actually want to dig into what experts are telling us, I direct the honourable member to the testimony of the chief economist of the IMF, who explained that countries like Canada, which are at the effective lower bound for their interest rates, the wise thing to do at this point in time is to make public investments. She described it not just being economically sound policy, but in the circumstances, the fiscally responsible thing to do.
The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Mr. Speaker, in a few hours, the government is going to be releasing its economic update, and we'll hopefully find out what they're going to do to stimulate the economy. But it doesn't matter what they do. If we're in the middle of the pandemic, we won't be able to stimulate the economy. If there's no vaccination, we won't be able to get the economy going. We've never heard what the plan is from the government. Or if they have one, perhaps they're hiding it. My question is simple. When will the government release its plan to roll out vaccines?
Mr. Speaker, as I've mentioned, we are well situated in Canada with more doses per capita than any other country in the world. 7 promising candidates in our portfolio. 4 of them now, as of today, under regulatory approval. Coordinated regulatory review with multiple credible regulatory bodies across the world. Mr. Speaker, Canadians can be proud of the work their government has done on their behalf.
The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Mr. Speaker, still no answers. For 8 months now, Quebecers have been locked down. They've been making sacrifices. There are over 1,300 cases again today. Jobs are being lost. People are losing their businesses, their health. People are dying, Mr. Speaker. What does it take for the government to tell people what they deserve to know? They need to see light at the end of the tunnel. What is the government waiting to reveal its vaccination distribution plan?
Monsieur le Président, alors...
Mr. Speaker, scientists are working hard to find a vaccine against COVID. We are ensuring that Canadians will have an opportunity to be vaccinated when the time comes. That is why we have purchased millions of doses so that Canadians are safe and well served. Clinical trials have produced promising results, and we will continue to work alongside all of our partners to ensure that Canadians have access to a vaccine when it's available. The Honourable Member for Burnaby South. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to tell you the story of Christina. Christina is a single mother. She lives in Gatineau. Before the pandemic struck, she had 3 jobs. Now she's got 1 job. She's having trouble making ends meet. For her, a vaccine means getting back to work. When will the Prime Minister unveil the vaccination plan?
Mr. Speaker, across our whole of government, we're working to make sure that Canadians are well situated to get vaccinated when the time comes and these vaccines are approved for safety in Canada. In fact, we're working with 7 different manufacturers, Mr. Speaker, with promising results. In fact, 4 of them have applied for regulatory review here in Canada, and we have a process, Mr. Speaker, that will allow for our regulators to rapidly review this evidence, work with other regulators. As soon as a vaccine is safe for use in Canada, Canadians will have access to it.
The honourable member for Burnaby South.
Mr. Speaker, Australia, a very similar sized country to Canada, has a plan that you can look up on their website with detailed steps about everything that's going on with their plan. Christina is a single parent mom in Gatineau who is struggling to get by. Her kids need dental work. She's lost her jobs. For her, a vaccine will mean she can get back to work. Why won't the Prime Minister tell Christina what is the plan for the vaccine?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, since very early on, we've been working with provinces and territories to ensure that our plans are robust. And I want to remind the member opposite, and in fact, over the last several weeks, we've immunized 16 million people for influenza just in a few weeks. And that speaks to 2 things, Mr. Speaker. 1, the experience in provinces and territories have in delivering vaccinations in their own jurisdictions. And 2, the fact that we have a public health care system, Mr. Speaker, that is makes vaccination available to all Canadians free of charge.
The honourable member for Calgary Nose Hill.
Well, I'm actually interested in the answer for Christina as well. Across the country, working class women are worried about if their child care centres are going to close and if they can get to work. And it's been 11 months with no end in sight. On Friday, the Prime Minister said that it would be September before most Canadians have access to a vaccine. When will the workers of the Bright Path Care Centre in Vaughan have access to a vaccine?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I've said repeatedly, Canada is well situated with more doses per capita than any other country in the world. And we're working closely with provinces and territories who have an immense amount of expertise in delivering vaccination across the country. In fact, over the last several weeks, 16 million Canadians have been vaccinated for influenza. That demonstrates just how much of a world leader Canada is in immunization. We're going to continue to support provinces and territories so that they can also deliver on COVID-19 vaccines.
Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
For 11 months, places of worship have cancelled in-person services to stop the spread of COVID, and they've complied with every rule. But now churches like Springs Church in Winnipeg are facing steep fines for allowing people to sit in their cars with their windows rolled up while their pastors are standing far away on a stage looking at RCMP cars while they're preaching their message. The Prime Minister said on Friday it would be September before most Canadians have access to a vaccine. Does the Prime Minister think it's appropriate for Canadians have to wait until September to have their charter rights to worship respected?
Honourable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And I want to thank Minister Friesen for taking strong action in Manitoba to prevent further spread of COVID-19, because as we know, public health measures are important even while we wait for vaccines. And Mr. Speaker, that's what's saving lives, is strong leadership by health ministers, by premiers, who are actually stepping up to impose public health measures while the world waits for a vaccine, Mr. Speaker. Canada is well positioned. We're one of the first countries to have purchased vaccines. We have 7, in fact, in our portfolio, 4 of them under regulatory review as we speak.
Member for Calgary Nose Hill.
The minister's absolutely right in that Minister Friesen, Minister Elliott, Minister Shandro, every minister across this country needs the information that we're asking for today. When is the vaccine coming? When should they be ready? What's the plan? Where are the resources to do this? Every day we don't get an answer. More people die, more civil liberties are eroded, and more businesses close. So the Prime Minister said on Friday that it would be September before most Canadians get access to a vaccine. Was it because he was distracted with the We Charity scandal, the botched deal with CanSino, or both?
Minister.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I spoke with Minister Elliott on Sunday, I think that was yesterday, and had a great conversation about the work Ontario is doing to prepare to receive the vaccines. In fact, at all levels across government, at health levels, at officials levels, at the healthcare levels, people are working together to develop plans. As the member opposite notes, the federal government has an important role, but in fact, provinces and territories have an even more important role because they are the experts in immunization. We'll be there for them, Mr. Speaker, as we deliver those vaccines and ensure that they have what they need to make sure Canadians can access them.
The Honourable Member for Charlebourg, Charlebourg, Haut-Saint-Charles.
Mr. Speaker, on Friday, the Prime Minister said that the majority of Canadians would be vaccinated by September 2021. By majority, does he mean 51%? If it is 51%, then that's not enough. There won't be herd immunity. We won't be able to resume our normal life. And we'll continue to suffer. Will the Prime Minister finally release a clear plan for vaccination? The Honourable Minister.
We've been working on a plan for a long time in partnership with provinces and territories to make sure that everybody is ready when the first vaccine is approved. And as we know, worldwide, there is not a vaccine approved that is amongst our portfolio, but we have a leading one, Mr. Speaker, and I'll tell you why. Because in fact, we have had the Vaccine Task Force guide us to put our bets, if you will, here in Canada on the most promising candidates. We have 4 of them now in regulatory approval process, and we're looking forward to having good news soon.
The Honourable Member. So, Mr. Speaker, we can see that is not working because on Friday the Prime Minister stated to everyone that the majority of Canadians would be vaccinated before September 2021. And the Minister said, well, we can't make any plans because we don't know when the vaccine will be approved. So can the government make a decision? Can it be clear with Canadians? Put some guidelines out there and put forth a clear plan? Because in the meantime, everyone's waiting. People are dying. Businesses are closing.
Mr. Speaker, as I've said, we have one of the best vaccine portfolios in the world, and Canadians should be proud of the work that this government has done on their behalf because, in fact, it puts them in a good position, Mr. Speaker. More than 10 doses per Canadian, more doses per capita than any other country in the world. And, Mr. Speaker, 4 of them already in regulatory approval. And you know why, Mr. Speaker? Because our regulators are recognized as world-class regulators. That's why, because when Canada can approve a vaccine, it is a good demonstration of safety and effectiveness. Mr. Speaker, Canadians can be confident that we will work quickly to make sure vaccines are safe and we can get them out the door.
The Honourable Member. Mr. Speaker, well, it's one thing to come and say, well, we've got a portfolio, there are 10 doses per Canadian, when we can't even get 1 dose at present. That makes no sense, Mr. Speaker. Can the Minister also explain why her government signed an agreement with a company that is owned by the Chinese government, CanSino? It flopped. Why? That was why the government had to renegotiate another bunch of other contracts. And now they're here saying, oh, 10 doses per person? We don't even know when the first dose will be available. The Honourable Minister.
The Honourable Minister.
Monsieur le Président, nous avons this week compris que nous devions investir dans notre product.
We realized that we must avail. The interpreter apologizes. The sound is breaking up. The interpretation is impossible.
Rappel au règlement, l'honorable député de...
The Honourable Member for Manicouagan.
With the connection for the minister. I'm not sure if the headset is plugged in or turned on, or if it's the connection, but we'll try that again, and we'll see if we can make it work. The Honourable Minister.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous avons...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We realized we needed to invest in domestic production. Rest assured that when a vaccine is ready and approved, we will be one of the first countries to provide the vaccine. Thank you.
Député de Jonquière.
The Honourable Member for Jonquière. Mr. Speaker, this morning I tabled a bill asking the government to do one simple thing, to respect the laws of Quebec and municipal regulations, period. Because the government circumvents environmental laws in Quebec, it bypasses agricultural zoning when it approves airport projects, and it lets telecom giants put up cell towers anywhere without the agreement of our fellow citizens. The government needs to respect these laws. We shouldn't even have to ask for this, but will the government vote in favor of our bill?
Leader de la Chambre.
The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, it's as if the federal government were the big bad guy and wanted to fight with Quebec and the provinces, when that's the impression that the Bloc is trying to give and put forth. That's not the case. We work with Quebec on the environment, in agriculture, on COVID. We work with Quebec on a daily basis. I know that you want to pick a fight, but there aren't any fights to be picked. We're working together. The Honourable Member for Repentigny. Ottawa must respect Quebec's environmental laws. It's as simple as that, Mr. Speaker. In Quebec, we have the strictest environmental assessment process in Canada. We can't let the federal government ignore it. That's why the Bloc is promoting Quebec's environmental sovereignty. For example, Ottawa must meet our soil remediation standards, our laws in the ports, including the Port of Quebec. Federal projects have to go through the Quebec Environmental Agency, the BAP, like everyone else. Will the government vote in favour of respecting Quebec's laws? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, we will always support the efforts of the Quebec government on the environment, like the federal government works closely on the environment for the planet that we want to leave for our children and grandchildren. That's something we do in collaboration. That's a big surprise for the Bloc. We work together. We don't have to squabble. It's clear that we respect jurisdictions, but we work together for the well-being of everyone. The Honourable Member for Manicouagan. Mr. Speaker, today is the deadline for seniors to file their tax returns. All those who haven't done so will have their guaranteed income supplement cut off in January. We're talking about 12,000 Quebecers in need. We're talking about people in need who are not getting it because of COVID. In-person services are limited, and we all know that it's mission impossible trying to get through to Revenue Canada. Can the government ensure us that no low-income seniors will have their GIS cut in the midst of a pandemic?
Le ministre.
The Honourable Minister.
L'Honorable Ministre.
The Honourable Minister.
Speaker, we're ensuring that the most vulnerable seniors continue to receive their benefits when they need them the most. Because of our temporary extension, over 200,000 seniors continue to receive their GIS and allowance payments, even though they'd not been able to submit their 2019 tax information. GIS recipients who've not already filed their tax information should file their taxes as soon as possible. We have sent letters to these seniors, and we've made calls to remind them to do so. Thank you very much. We're making sure seniors do get their benefits.
Or Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, our allies like the United States have been planning since May to deliver vaccines to Americans, and they'll start vaccinating them next week. But this Prime Minister has left it to the last minute and now has to call in the Canadian Armed Forces to actually clean up his mess. Our armed forces will get the job done. Of that I have no doubt. But this Liberal government will still have to answer for their incompetence. When will the Prime Minister table a plan to make vaccinations available to all Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I share the optimism and the ability of our armed forces to be part of our vaccination strategy, which I have to say, Mr. Speaker, has been integrated very early on. And we're so grateful to Major General Danny Fortin for being embedded in the Public Health Agency of Canada to help with the logistics of deploying vaccines across the country, working closely with provinces and territories, Mr. Speaker. This is a Team Canada approach and an integrated approach at that across all departments of government. I want to thank the Canadian Armed Forces for their assistance.
The Honourable Member for Selkirk Interlake Eastman.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister promised Canadians 250,000 doses of vaccines would be made available by now, but he hasn't delivered one single dose. He put all his hope in the CanSino vaccine, and of course that deal fell through, and there was no plan B. He has literally had to call in the army to fix all the problems caused by all the Liberals' dithering and delays. Now the Prime Minister says vaccines won't make it into the arms of Canadians until September. September isn't good enough. Why should the Canadians believe the Prime Minister now when he has misled them so many times already?
Oh, Minister.
Clearly, the member opposite doesn't want to listen to me, but maybe he'll listen to the CEO of Moderna, who said, you know, Canada's early orders meant it was well positioned to receive early doses. This is the reality, Mr. Speaker, that the member opposite and his colleagues don't want to face, that in fact we were prepared and we have the best portfolio, Mr. Speaker, 7 promising candidates, 4 of them under regulatory review. When the vaccines are safe, we'll be delivering them to Canadians.
The honourable member for Battleford's Lloydminster.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We know seniors have sacrificed a lot this year. Many have faced isolation from their loved ones, and those living in long-term care have been particularly hit hard by COVID-19. They deserve certainty and clarity from their government, yet there's still no clear plan on testing or vaccines. While other countries have indicated that mass vaccine distribution will begin in the coming months, the Prime Minister is talking about September for Canadians. Mr. Speaker, are seniors going to have to wait until September 2021 to see their grandchildren?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And now who's putting out misrepresenting information to Canadians? It would be the member opposite, because in fact she knows that that's not what the Prime Minister said. He said by September 70% of Canadians will be vaccinated. He didn't say that it will be until September. In fact, we know, Mr. Speaker, that we are very close. Canadians can be assured that when a vaccine is approved for safety here in Canada, we'll be deploying it, Mr. Speaker. Canadians are well positioned to receive vaccines, and we are thrilled with the ability to be able to provide them to Canadians.
The honourable member for Hamilton Centre.
The Liberals have watched $450 billion be sent offshore without a single CRA investigation resulting in a conviction. This is on top of the 900 Canadians named in the Panama Papers who've also evaded prosecution by hiding their wealth offshore. But when the New Democrats proposed closing tax loopholes and bringing in a wealth tax, the Liberals voted it down. Mr. Speaker, why does this government insist on protecting the ultra-wealthy from paying their fair share while leaving thousands of Canadians and small businesses on the brink of financial ruin from COVID?
Minister.
Monsieur le Président, lutter contre les fraudeurs.
Mr. Speaker, fighting tax fraudsters in Canada and abroad is a priority for our government. As far as international tax evasion is concerned, the agency's efforts are bearing fruit. Last year, there were 1,463 representations having to do with tax evasion internationally. That represented more than 1,600 taxpayers. That's compared to only 43 in 2013-14. We have invested historical amounts in this matter, and we are giving the CRA the tools it needs to do the work. And we are seeing results, Mr. Speaker. The honourable member for Rosemont-la-Petite-Patrie. Mr. Speaker, this afternoon, the government will be presenting an economic update with a major deficit. Historically, the Liberals and Conservatives have both cut services, and that always hurts the same people, workers, families, and the most vulnerable. But there is an alternative, making the ultra-rich pay. The NDP has been proposing taxes on the extremely high profits of some companies and individuals. Will the Liberals adopt these progressive policies, or will they be bringing in austerity policies that hurt people? The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I have great respect for the honourable member, and I can assure him with no uncertainty that we will do whatever it takes to continue to offer support to Canadian households and businesses to do what it takes to get them through this pandemic. On the issue of taxing the wealthy, if it's such a passion of the honourable members, I would return the question to him as to why he and his NDP colleagues oppose the Canada Child Benefit, which stopped sending childcare checks to millionaires and put more money in the pockets of 9 out of 10 Canadian families. I would also ask him why his party opposed the very first measure we did when we formed government in 2015, which was to raise taxes on Canada's wealthiest 1% so we could cut them for 9 million Canadian households.
Member for Brampton East.
Mr. Speaker, Canada and India share very strong people-to-people ties. Many Indo-Canadians, particularly the 600,000 of Punjabi descent, are watching closely as hundreds of thousands of farmers are marching to Delhi in a peaceful protest. However, many of the farmers from Punjab have been met with violence from police and blocked from entry to Delhi. It is essential that people in a democratic society be allowed to protest peacefully without fear of violence in response. Can the Minister of Foreign Affairs please advise as to how Canada is expressing its concerns over this issue?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for Brampton East for his very good question. I also want to acknowledge the strong people-to-people ties that unite India and Canada, both strong democracies. As the member rightfully mentioned, the freedom to protest peacefully is a fundamental right that must be respected. Canada is concerned by reports of violence that some farmers would have been met with as they march peacefully in protest. As we believe in strong dialogue, we have made diplomatic representation at senior levels, both here in Ottawa and in Delhi, to express our concerns, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Fundy Royal.
Mr. Speaker, when the Minister of Justice introduced the assisted dying bill, he said that this bill reflects a consensus among Canadians. Yet there's not even consensus in the Liberal cabinet. The minister responsible for disability inclusion has said that assisted dying providers should not raise assisted death with persons with disabilities. Yet Liberals rejected this amendment Conservatives brought forward to committee. Will the Minister of Justice listen to his colleague and listen to persons with disabilities and make this amendment?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the honourable member for his question. Medical assistance in dying or MAID is a complex issue. It's deeply personal. Canadians have diverse and evolving views, and we did our best, Mr. Speaker, to consult them quite intensively across Canada in roundtables from coast to coast, as well as an online survey in which over 300,000 Canadians gave us their views on medical assistance in dying. Mr. Speaker, we reintroduced this legislation because it does represent a consensus in Canadian society. We need to move forward through this step to respond to the Quebec Superior Court's decision in Truchon, and we are doing just that.
Member for Fundy Royal.
Well, Mr. Speaker, there's a consensus that the government's latest MAID bill lacks safeguards and puts persons with disabilities at risk. Witness after witness at Justice Committee, we heard from disability advocates who say that this bill is unfair to persons with disabilities. Krista Carr of Inclusion Canada described it as our worst nightmare. I'm sure many Liberal members are also concerned about the gaps in Bill C7. Will the government allow a free vote among Liberal MPs so that they may vote against this flawed bill?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the honourable member once again for his question. During those consultations, Mr. Speaker, we took great pains to listen carefully to the disability community and their advocacy, and they had a direct impact on the structure of the bill. The safeguards that are in place, Mr. Speaker, in the non-end-of-life scenario are precisely a result of the consultations that took place with representatives of groups living with disabilities. We'll continue to listen, Mr. Speaker, and we're very proud of the legislation and the compromises that it affects.
Member for Calgary Skyview.
Mr. Speaker, the right to peacefully protest is a fundamental right in a democracy. Thousands of farmers from across India, including Punjab and Haryana, have been protesting recent changes in agriculture policy. Canadians here at home with ties to Indian farmers are concerned about reports of the use of tear gas, water cannons, and batons by the authorities against the protesters. Mr. Speaker, will the Minister of Foreign Affairs comment on the issue my constituents and Canadians have been raising?
Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for a very important question that many members of this House and many Canadians are concerned about. We are concerned about the violence that we've seen over the weekends as farmers march peacefully to Delhi. Freedom of protest peacefully, Mr. Speaker, is a fundamental right that must be respected. We believe in strong dialogue with India. That's why we made representation at senior levels over the weekend, both here in Ottawa and in Delhi, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
The honourable member for Calgary Forest Lawn.
Canadians are concerned by the recent escalation of tensions in India between farmers and Indian authorities. Freedom of speech is fundamental to a healthy democracy, including peaceful protest. Farmers feed cities. Their hard labor is crucial to the function of any country. No farmers, no food. Authorities are using tear gas, water cannons, and baton charges to shut down the peaceful protests. People all across the globe are standing in solidarity with the farmers' right to peacefully protest. Why won't the Liberal government stand up for the freedom and democracy and comment on the ongoing situation in India? Chalo Delhi, I stand with farmers.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the member for the very good question. As I answered before, Mr. Speaker, we are concerned, not only him, his constituents, but as other members have expressed in this House, about the reports of violence that farmers have been met as they march peacefully to Delhi. Mr. Speaker, we believe in the freedom of protest. This is a fundamental right in democracy. That's why, as I said to the member previously, that we have expressed our concerns at senior levels, both here in Ottawa and in Delhi. We believe in fundamental right of protest, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
L'honorable député de Saint-Hyacinthe.
The honourable member for Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagotte. Mr. Speaker, it's really the theatre of the absurd. Right now, the International Trade Committee is studying the UK Free Trade Agreement. We've even heard from witnesses, like recently the Minister for International Trade. There's only one problem, Mr. Speaker. No one's seen the text of the agreement. We are trying to analyze a text that no one has read. And we're being asked to approve that agreement by the 31st of December because of Brexit. Mr. Speaker, this is becoming ridiculous. When will the government provide the text of the agreement? The Honourable Minister.
Member for that important question. It was really good to be at Trade Committee today. And as I said, our officials are working very hard to get the legal text finalized so that we can indeed share it. I will respect our processes and certainly the work of my colleagues on all sides of the House, and will endeavor to get this information to them as soon as it's available and ready. But I think the continuity agreement is really great for Canadian businesses because it provides that continuity that our businesses and predictability that they're looking for in trading with the United Kingdom. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Député de Saint-Hyacinthe-Bagotte.
The honourable member. It's just as unclear as when it comes to the vaccine. The government is asking us to show blind trust, but it showed its true colors with previous agreements. This is the same government that would have sacrificed Quebec Aluminum in CUSMA, and it's the same government that sacrificed supply managed producers 3 times in a row. It would be irresponsible to give this government a blank check. We are studying the agreement. Does the government understand that we need the text right away?
Ministre.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I absolutely agree with the honourable member that the work that he does and all colleagues are extremely important. That is why I want to thank the officials here in Canada and the United Kingdom for all of their hard work. And I know that they are working as fast as they can to make sure that they get that text completed, that review completed. The continuity trade agreement with Canada and UK does this. It provides predictability and stability. And this is what businesses are looking for, particularly during this time. And our economic recovery counts on this stability in this important trading relationship with the United Kingdom. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Caribou, Prince George.
Mr. Speaker, you'll pardon my nervousness. I just got a text message from my wife. My daughter's water just broke, and I'm going to be a grandfather for the first time. So I completely forgot what I was going to say, but if you'll forgive me, Mr. Speaker, time and again we have asked the government for a commitment to bring 988 to Canada. Sadly, all that we've received are scripted talking points and no commitment from the minister. This isn't a partisan issue. Mental health associations are calling for it. National telecoms are calling for it. Canadians are demanding this. Minister, either you support it or you don't. Let's not give Canadians that are suffering false hope. Does the Minister of Health support a 988 national suicide hotline in Canada? And if you don't, if the Minister doesn't, just have the courage to say so.
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I can't help but say congratulations to the member opposite because that's pretty exciting news to break to the House of Commons. But his topic is very serious as well, and I do want to reassure him that I want to work with him on a national hotline. I've said that in this House. I will continue to do that work. I think we should find a time to sit down and talk about it, to show the member opposite the work that the department has been doing, but I fully support the premise, and I think that we can work together to make it happen more quickly.
L'honorable député de Bellechasse-Lézé-Chemin.
The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-Lézé-Chemin-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, With their white paper on official languages, the Liberals are trying to buy time until the next elections, and they're ultimately taking official language communities hostage. But the Federation of Francophone and Canadian Communities and the Quebec Community Groups Network are asking for something to be done. Will the Liberals stop doing petty politics and finally present the modernization of the Official Languages Act by Christmas, before Christmas? The Honourable Minister. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, when I hear from my colleague who has been the critic on this file for several years, when I hear him talking about updating the OLA, I always find it surprising to see that the Conservatives seem to be showing newfound interest in official languages. It seems like they might be trying to poach votes from the Bloc Québécois. We will always be there to support official language minority communities. We will always be there to stand up and support them, and we will be working hard to ensure that we can table language reform that will lead to setting the tone for the next 50 years to protect language rights in the country.
For Calgary, Shepherd.
Mr. Speaker, truck drivers have been essential to keeping our supply lines open, but government red tape is blocking Canadian truckers from securing fast enrollment for transporting dangerous goods across the border. In-person interview sites are closed, and CBSA has no timelines for reopening. No virtual option, no rules for deeming travel by truckers for fast interviews as essential. When is the minister going to fix this unfair situation and put pressure on his American counterpart to deem travel for fast enrollment interviews as essential, or allow fast interviews to be done over Zoom?
Honourable Minister of Transport.
Mr. Speaker, I thank my colleague for the question. We'll certainly look at that, but we've been trying to do everything possible to make sure that our truckers are able to move across the border, because they do represent an essential service, and they are doing a fabulous job of making sure that Canadians are being provided with all the necessary goods that we need here in Canada. But I will look into the point that he has just raised. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Nickel Belt.
Mr. Speaker, every year from the 25th of November to the 10th of December, Canadians observe 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. It's an opportunity to get together to discuss and renew our commitment to end this violence. I believe men and boys can play an essential role in preventing gender-based violence. Can the Minister of Women and Gender Equality tell us about the National Action Plan and how men and boys can be encouraged to be part of the solution?
Honorable Ministre.
Mr. Speaker, my colleague from Nickel Belt is absolutely right. Men and boys play a vital role in ending gender-based violence. That's why our government's partnered with the Moose Hide campaign, Next Gen Men, Catalyst Canada, Paktuti, to name a few, so that men and boys are working on healthier relationships, so that they have the tools to be more than bystanders, online and offline, so that they can be part of the positive change that is so desperately needed. I know my colleagues here are playing important roles as mentors. They're leading by example. They're opening doors to progress in terms of pathways for employment and career development. And Mr. Speaker, we look forward to the day when we don't have to have 16 days of activism against gender-based violence.
The Honourable Member for Kootenay, Columbia.
Mr. Speaker, during this crisis, Service Canada locations that provided essential help to those who were in need were closed, and critical health care visits were conducted virtually. Safe Help was a single click away. Safe Help. The problem was that many didn't have reliable broadband connection. The requirement for connectivity is about social media. It's the health and well-being of our loved ones. Mr. Speaker, will the minister commit to funding shovel-in-the-ground solutions for Kootenay Columbians like in Yak and Castle now, not in 5 or 10 years?
Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I have positive news from my colleague. As of November 9th, there's been a call for applications that's open, the single largest investment in broadband in Canada's history. Our government's put it forward. We're taking days, a matter of days, to review and assess project proposals that come forward for rapid response. For longer-term projects, there's another $1 billion set aside. The short answer is yes, Mr. Speaker. I ask him to reach out to my team and I, and we'll do what we can to help.
The Honourable Member for New Brunswick Southwest.
Mr. Speaker, after months and months of delays, the Liberal government finally announced its scheme to improve high-speed internet in rural communities. Unfortunately, their funding decisions will be based on service maps that are filled with inaccurate data. This is happening in Grand Manan, in communities outside of Grand Bay Westfield, and up north around Bay St. Anne. These are just a few communities in my province. And this is disqualifying many communities in New Brunswick from applying for the program today. Why have parameters been proposed that will mean many rural communities won't receive high-speed internet?
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I have good news for my other Conservative colleague as well. Those maps he refers to have been updated. They've been updated as of January. We continue to update them. The hexagon model is gone. I encourage him to reach out to my team and I if he has any questions about it. We've set up a concierge service, a one-stop shop, Mr. Speaker, for smaller communities who don't have capacity to go through the process on their own. We will be there to help them get connected to this essential service. In addition, Mr. Speaker, our government invested 10 times more in connecting New Brunswickers than the previous government did. Let's finish the job.
The Honourable Member for Beauce. Mr. Speaker, people like Mr. Poirier in Saint-Georges are experiencing stress because their files are bogged down at the Canada Revenue Agency. These people want to collaborate with the CRA, but they can't get through to the agency. One of my staffers spoke to a CRA agent, a very nice person, who told us that the agency is currently dealing with requests from the 4th of November. That's almost a month late. People don't want to get in trouble with the agency. They are already stressed due to COVID. When will this government invest the necessary resources to help Canadians? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to remind my colleague that during the pandemic, all CRA employees have had to work from home. I would encourage my colleague to come see me or call me after question period, and I will do everything that I can to support him. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Uxbridge.
During this pandemic, Canadians came together to get through the first wave of this unprecedented time. And Mr. Speaker, our federal government was there for Canadians. So can the Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance please update this House on what we might expect later today in the fall economic statement and how our government is going to continue with our commitment to be there for Canadians throughout the second wave and as we recover?
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I can confirm that later today, the Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister for Canada will present the fall economic statement in the House of Commons for 2020, which outlines our government's plan to support Canadians through COVID-19 and that will ensure that the economy that follows this pandemic is more robust, inclusive, and sustainable than before. As we battle the second wave of the virus, we know that we're going to be in for a hard winter, but spring is going to come. We're always going to be there for Canadian households and businesses in my home province of Nova Scotia, in that members' communities in Pickering, Uxbridge, and from coast to coast to coast, as we have been from the beginning of this pandemic.
Honourable Member for Winnipeg Centre.
Mr. Speaker, in August, we were finally able to get the Liberals to support our motion calling for $2 billion for childcare to help families during the pandemic. Months later, Liberals are still making families wait. This funding is essential to help providers follow health directives, create new affordable licensed spaces to help parents, especially women who want jobs outside of the home, get back to work. When will this government stop making families wait, or is this what we all feared? Another broken childcare promise.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the honourable member that this year alone, we have invested more than $1 billion to help provinces and territories continue to create more affordable and quality childcare for Canadians, a record amount of money for this year. We have worked hard since 2015 to create 40,000 childcare spaces across Canada. We're investing more than $7.5 billion in early learning and childcare. We are committed to creating a national system of childcare that's affordable and has high quality for all parents, and I hope this time the NDP does not join the Conservatives and derail what it should be something that we should have done a long time ago.
The Honourable Member for Saanich Gulf Islands.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
On December 12th, the United Nations will be marking the 5th anniversary of the successful conclusion of the Paris negotiations. The Paris Agreement stands as our best hope to avert runaway global warming. We have had some good news, and the U.S. will planning to rejoin under President-elect Biden. Can the Honourable Minister update this House on where Canada is towards improving our target, as we are required to do within calendar 2020?
The Honourable Minister of the Environment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our government has made very clear its firm commitment to bringing forward a plan to exceed our 2030 target under Paris and to define pathways to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. We have previously put into place what is by far the most significant and comprehensive climate plan in Canadian history, and I look forward to bringing forward a plan to exceed our 2030 target in the very near term. Mr. Speaker, we will then be engaging consultations with Indigenous peoples, provinces and territories, and with Canadians generally as part of informing and finalizing Canada's updated nationally determined contribution well in advance of COP27.